another guy I'm happy to see it happening for, and this is a question that I hate getting asked, Charlie, because I have no freaking idea. Like when I was talking to the CHGO guys and we were talking about Morgan Frost, and I guess they had thrown out on their show the idea of 2 second-round picks. I was like, hell yeah. I mean, that's what we got for Timo Timonen. Sure, give me 2 seconds. But for Rasmus Ristolainen, it probably depends on how much salary retention and if the Flyers have the stomach to do it for all 3 years or whatever. Maybe you get a third team involved. What kind of compensation do you think you get for Risto? Like, he's playing 20 minutes a game right now. He is producing. Like, this is not the third pair defensive defenseman that he was last year, even when he was playing well. He's better than that right now.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head that it really does in a lot of ways depend upon the amount of retention. Because I don't think the Flyers, maybe they could move Risto, especially if he keeps playing pretty well. Because I don't think he's been incredible this year, but I think he's been good. He's been good, Risto. If he keeps playing like this, maybe you could move that entire salary, but you're not getting much back for it. You're basically just trading it to clear the salary. The Flyers are in a rebuild. They don't really need the cap space. So there's no real reason for them to be like, if they were where they were 3 years ago and they're going for it still, then it's like, yeah, we'll trade you Risto's full salary, give us a 6th-round pick, and we'll clear it off our books. Great. But that's not something they really care about right now. What they care about is acquiring assets to further the rebuild. So if you're going to do that, that inherently requires you to retain salary. Now, how much salary will you retain? That's where you get into the negotiation process. If they retain enough salary, like Danny Briere, I don't know if they're going to get it, but at least at this point, he absolutely should be saying, if we're doing significant salary retention, give us a 1st-round pick, especially with, the way he's playing this year. I don't know if that'll be ultimately what someone would be willing to give up for Ristolainen. But, you look at guys like Savard. There have been guys who play that style, even guys who, in the year they were traded, didn't have great advanced metrics, but they had that, oh man, he can take the minutes and he hits and he's playoff ready, and they squeeze 1st-round picks out of him. Maybe Danny Briere can do that with Ristolainen. I think the thing that does help him significantly, and obviously all of this is in a state of flux, nothing's official, is the fact that it looks like the salary cap is going to be higher next year than people originally thought. That, in my mind, probably makes 3 years of Risto or 2 years of Risto, however many years left on that deal. I think it's 2. I think it's
this
2 more.
Year and 2 more.
Yeah, I think it's 2 more after this one.
3 years, yeah.
It makes it seem a lot more palatable if the cap ceiling is $3-4 million higher than everybody thought it was going to be next year.
Yeah, like it going up to like 92 or 92 and a half, that's cool. But it's like, if it's 97, that's Risto's whole salary. Like that difference, you just got Risto for free, basically. At least that's how, this is like why I need TrueMark and stuff, because that's how I spend my money.
It's bill math.
That's like found money, basically.
So but like girl math, this is bill math.
Yeah. No, but like, and you look at the Flyers situation, like, sure, the cap space would be cool, but Cam Atkinson and Kevin Hayes are on the books through 2026. Like, after that, it would just be one more year of Risto. Like, the cap really doesn't matter until that 2026 summer, hopefully, and maybe not even then. Yeah. But it's always tough to come up with, because you don't know how much salary they're going to retain. You don't know, okay, if we throw in a 5th, will you make it a 1st the way they did with Sean Walker, that sort of thing. Like, but he's playing well. Is he a number 1 defenseman? No.
Of course not.
That's over. But he has shown recently he can handle more minutes and he can handle more situations, higher leverage situations than even last year, like in between the injuries when he was playing well. But it was like, okay, but what is he?
Yeah.
He's shown to be a pretty damn good player. He can be a top 4 defenseman for you right now. If you're a playoff team, he's probably on your 3rd pair, and that's good.
Exactly.
But guess what's going to happen in the playoffs? Injuries. That happens too. You want that depth. I feel like they might be able to. It might actually happen, Charlie. The thing I didn't think they were ever going to be able to do, move that Risto contract. I think they might be able to.
Yeah, it's just the thing that makes it tougher is obviously the years, and not even because of like the term element, but obviously that matters. What matters more is that a lot of times playoff teams they want rentals because they're so slammed up against the cap. They don't want a guy who they're going to have to account for a year or two down the road. They would rather just get a guy who's like, you know what, we're going for it this year. Sure. Here's a first round pick. We'll get our rental. And it's just easier. It's easier to do. Whereas with Risto, if you're going to trade for him, you need to account for the fact that he's on your books, unless you trade him too. He's on your books for at least 2 more years, which is why the retention is probably necessary. Because let me put it this way. If you're a team that has designs on winning the cup and thinks Ristolainen is like the missing piece that'll help you through the playoffs, you're probably not trading for him to be in your top 4. You're probably trading for him to be maybe you're like your number 5. He might be like your 4 or 5, where if he's having a good game, he can play in the top 4 minutes wise. If he's not, he's your third pair guy who gives you that physicality. And I think that's probably his ideal role. The problem is that with his cap hit, he won't be getting paid like a third pair, 4 or 5 type guy. So if you're a team that is good enough to play him in his ideal role, you have to account for the fact that you have 2 more years of him, which is why if you want to trade for him, you probably have to retain enough where a team can say, you know what? Yeah, now he's getting paid. He's getting paid fairly for the role that we're actually going to use him in. You know, an over $5 million cap hit, that's an overpay. If it's $3.5 million, suddenly some teams might be like, yeah, we could use him for this playoff run, and we're willing to pay Risto 3.5 to be our number 5 defenseman. That's then about market value for a quality number 5 defenseman, which is what he probably is on a really good team. So I think the retention is going to be necessary, but I do think he's playing his way. Also, the fact that he's just playing is big. He's showing he's healthy. It's putting the Flyers in good position to potentially get something of real value back for him if they're willing to retain.
Just one more thing on this, and then I got hit reads, Charlie. You look at the Flyers draft capital this year, 3 firsts, 3 firsts, 3 seconds. We know about that, but they even have they have their 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and they have an extra 5th from Carolina from the the non Tony D.
The Tony DeAngelo trade that wasn't a trade,
buyout trade, Massimo Rizzo, etc., all that stuff.
He's back. He's playing first line center tonight. First line center tonight for the Phantoms.
Do you think it's worth throwing in like a 4th or a 5th just to up that return a little bit? Or it's like, I don't know, we already have 3 firsts. Like, what do we really like? Do you think it's throw that in there? I always think it is, but like, I'm an NHL franchise GM.
I do. Yeah. I mean, look, you obviously would rather just get the first rather than have to give up an asset to get it. But in a way, salary retention is kind of you giving up an asset. It's just an asset that people don't really think of as an asset because it is one of your 3 salary cap retention spots and it's cap space. Yeah. So to me, if you have to give up a 4th or a 5th to get another first, sure. And the idea of like, well, they already have 3 firsts, like, so get more. You know, you can always have more. Give me more darts to throw at the dartboard to try to get that high-end talent that they so desperately need. You're going to have a lot better chance of getting that guy in the 1st round as opposed to the 4th
round. We all silly like the mayor.